happy to work with President Embody. As you know, there are two main campuses, Chanute and Ottawa. I have some appreciation for double county management because early in my career, I was a shared city administrator for two cities and two different, and they were each in a different county. So that brings some special challenges, some unique challenges to it itself. But I have found the president to be receptive, easy to work with, and very forward-thinking when it comes to a lot of issues, not just educational issues. And his wife is from Fredonia. My family all my life has had since 1937, and I was not born in 1937. I'm just saying since 1937. Our family has had a long association with Fredonia, where my mother grew up. So I appreciate that. So I'm going to turn it over to President Embody, and he can tell you anything about his pedigree he wants, but we just need to get on with the program, okay?
There you go. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. So I'm going to try to give you a presentation. I typically give in about 40 minutes in about, how long do I have? 14 minutes? No, I think I have 9. Oh, there you go. There you go. I'll do something like that. So as a runner of a large organization, we have 156 full-time employees and another 200 part-time employees at the college. I'm always fascinated with morale and how to keep morale up at different places. So I began studying happiness and how to try to keep my employees happy. Happy employees they don't call in sick. They work hard. They stay long hours because they want to be there. So so I started looking at really the science of happiness, and the truth is, psychology has been studying depression for a very long time, back to Freud and before, but they haven't been studying happiness very much until very lately. Because why? People don't go into to their doctor and say, I'm super happy. Can you tell me why for $300 an hour? So this is a relatively new field within psychology about why is one person happier than another, right? So this is what I'm going to try to get out of this is understanding getting more productivity, less turnover, understanding the science of happiness, and little ways to create and improve your own happiness according to the researchers. The people who report happier than you are, what do they do to make themselves happy, right? So we've only just recently begun to study happiness. In fact, this is only about 20 to 30 years old, this science of happiness. And so they're always learning new things about it as we move through, right? So here's what we have learned so far in the science. What's not correlated with happiness, right? Money past a certain point. If you have all your basic needs met, money is not, people who are richer are not report being happier than people who have their needs met. In fact, we have found out that the more money you have past a certain point, it's negatively correlated with happiness. As the poet once said, mo money, mo problems. That's Biggie Smalls, if you were wondering. Right? Beautiful people, they're happier than other people. No, beautiful people tend to be terrified about losing their beauty and spend a lot of money altering their faces and doing different things to try to hold on to their beauty for a very long time. Materialism, people with more stuff are happier than people with less stuff. Not true. They're constantly trying to keep up with the Joneses, right? Youth. Young people are happier than older people, right? No. In fact, young people have a tremendous, what's the number, well, behind car accidents, what's the #2 cause of death among young people? Suicide. Marriage and kids. Married people are happier than unmarried people, right? It depends on the marriage. And kids. Oh, you're always happy to have kids, right? As a father of 2 teenage girls, I can say no. Right? But what is correlated, and only moderately, is the situation that you're currently in. Obviously, if you're getting a new job and moving on to exciting new possibilities, you're going to be happier than if you lose your job, right? That's going to moderately affect it, right? So what is correlated with happiness, right? Happy people, they devote a great deal of time to family and friends, and they express gratitude often. They're big about saying thank you. They're the person that sends a random thank you note or wants to stop and tell the manager of that restaurant, I just want to tell you, your server is awesome, and I just want to say thank you for that. Those people are happier than other people who just move through life, right? They say happy, they do things. Here's another one. Helps others often. You know that guy that owns a truck who's helping someone move like every weekend? Why does he do that? Because that's making himself happy. Very optimistic, right? They live in the moment. They exercise regularly. If you're worried about your own happiness, you should exercise regularly. There's a definite correlation between those things. They're deeply committed to something larger than themselves. If you're unhappy, then it's time to volunteer. Right? It's time to get out there and do something and try to make the world a better place. It's lucky for me in my job because here at the college, what are we doing? We're helping people meet their educational goal. We're also fighting poverty on a daily basis here. This is the front lines of the war on poverty, right here. People pulling themselves up by their own bootstraps and getting out there and getting a good job, right? And so that's what we do every day. Religion is a big part of that. If you're religious and not just show up on Sunday, but actually participate in that, you're going to make yourself happy. And bad things happen to them just like everybody else. But happy people deal with them better, right? There's two schools of thought. I'm going to go real fast. One is that everyone is normally at a normal set point. Let's say happy's over here and grumpy is over here, and we're all born somewhere on this continuum. And you've met them, the Eeyores of the world, right? I have life and everyone in it, right? And then people like Sue Heck on the show The Middle, right? It's never unhappy, right? And it doesn't matter what happens. They may be upset for a little while, but pretty soon they get right back to their set point again, right? Even Mr. Grumpy, something, I'm happy, I guess it's Christmas. And then pretty soon it's not happy anymore, right? Because we naturally return to our set point. Some folks say you can't make yourself happy. You can't make yourself taller either. But guess what? The person who said that retracted it 10 years later and said, guess what? You can change it. Yes, some of your set point is genetic, where you're born and how you're raised. But your behavior can also naturally move that set point one little piece at a time. Right? The problem is with stuff, something called hedonistic adaptation. We get used to the good things in life or the bad things in life, then become normal. So you drive a beat-up old car, and then you get a slightly newer car, and then you don't want to go back to that beat-up old car again. So it takes an even better car for you to be impressed with your car again, and an even better car for you to get even impressed with that car, right? We get used to the good things in life, and so it just becomes normal after a while. We always eat steak, every meal or whatever, right? You're not used, so we get used to that, and the good feeling lasts until your first payment. Right? That happens a lot, right? So, like the lottery winners, how many of those have wound up penniless and unhappy? Because always getting stuff, you get used to it, and it's no big deal anymore. It's like drugs. You get used to the feeling that drugs, it takes more to make yourself happy again. So don't devote yourself to stuff. Right? Here's the negative effects. Loss of a job. Science says that you'll be unhappy for 6 months or more. Lose a limb for 3 years. It takes to get over that. Loss of a spouse. About 8 years to get over the loss of a spouse before your set point begins to migrate back to where it was before. You have to get into different things. Believe it or not, people who've had large negative things happen to them are typically happier than other people, like POWs, like people who've lost all their limbs. Why? Because they appreciate life more than you do. They've seen the other side of it, and now that they're through it, they're happiest. It's the small effects that'll get you. Teenager angst, I can tell you firsthand, not great. It begins to tear down your happiness over time. And the worst thing you could ever do is prolong isolation. right? So you've got to get out there and be with people. The longer you're by yourself on a long period of time, your happiness begins to dwindle and dwindle and dwindle and dwindle, right? Areas that happy people excel and that others don't. They seek pleasure, but it doesn't last very much time. What they do is engage, always around people. They're always looking for something larger than themselves, and guess what? They delude themselves. They don't spend the day watching the news thinking the world's a terrible place to live. Happy people don't do that, right? Because if you watch the news, no offense, I used to work in the news industry. We don't make ratings by saying, guess what? Everything turned out great today. Right? No, we got to show night fires and diseases in the countries around the world that affect 3 people, but are terrible. You know, so that's how we make our ratings, right? And so if you start watching that and feeding yourself that stuff, well, happy people don't do that. Life's going to be good, right? This is a wonderful world if you look for it, that kind of stuff. Right? Happiness is actually contagious. There was a 40-year study, I'm out of time, of one community where they did heart studies, and they had a mood survey as part of that. So they had 40 years worth of data. And what they found out is that one person became happy, then everyone that touched that person had a much better chance of being happy too. It spread like a virus, right? So one year, one guy would be happy, then all of his family and friends the year later would report higher happiness being around him. So, secret, be around happy people and you're probably going to make yourself happy. And guess what? The same is true for grumpy, right? Surround yourself with grumpy people, pretty soon you're going to be grumpy, right? You can actually make yourself happy by releasing dopamine in the brain, right? By, guess what? Gratitude. Just thinking about the things you're thankful for can actually release those. There's actually a guy who's a PhD in physics. He's a monk, and he can meditate on this. They studied his brain before and after meditation. He can physically release dopamine just thinking about how grateful he is for the things he has and the people around him. Pretty cool, huh? And that's what the effect of happiness. The least happy country on earth is Japan. Why? Because their work matters more than anything else. We commit ourselves to who we are as a worker. And they actually have a word for working yourself to death. There's actually telethons for it in the town. It's called karaoke. And that's when people just, I'm not kidding you, healthy men who devote themselves to work get so stressed that they don't have a heart attack, they just die for no reason, and they can't figure out why. They give up life because there's a great documentary on one of the guys that worked for Toyota during the recalls. Remember all the Toyota recalls? One of their guys that was in quality control, he was 30 years old, a healthy man, fell over dead on the line because his boss was yelling at him one day. Did not die from a heart attack. So the happiest country on earth, Denmark. Why? Because they believe in each other, they support each other, they believe in communal living. So families will live together in a neighborhood and they'll have a common building and they'll all come together and help each other out. And they also pay some of the highest taxes in the world. Why? Because they believe in taking care of each other. Free health care, free higher education, they take care of one another. I don't like that, right, but they're happier than you, so keep that in mind. Right? Okay, can money buy happiness? Yes, right? If you spend it right. Use your money for your causes, the things that are larger than yourself, that make you feel like you're making a difference in this world. Use it for vacations, for the people that you love, to make good memories, to be around them, engagement, right? And not just buying yourself another blank that 10 years from now is going to be worthless, right? Use it to engage with people, engage in the things that make it part of a bigger world. Here's something you can do. Keep a gratitude journal. Spend once a week, 20 minutes being thankful for what you're grateful for. And just write that down. You have to do something physical, though. You can't just think about it like the monk can. You need to do something. Right? 5 acts of kindness a week, especially on the same day. The effect of that, by the way, lasts 1 to 2 months on that happiness scale. People would tell us that they're happier for 1 to 2 months after they've done that. Write a letter and visit someone that you're grateful for and read them that letter. Right? An old teacher, someone who matters something in your life, and go and read them that letter. The effect of that lasts up to 6 months. Moves your happiness level by 6 months, right? Avoid social comparison. I know that's the hardest one on the list. The Joneses got something new and you didn't. ignore it. I know that's hard. It's easy to say, hard to do. Commit to your goal and see your work as a calling and not a job. Even if you make toaster ovens, you're making a really great toaster oven that's keeping people employed. Hey, it makes toast, right? So make it something that's big about yourself. Change your routine. Even taking a new jog, different way on your walk every day to see something new. That affects happiness. Don't just get into a rut about you do the same thing every day. Guess what? Then you're not making yourself happy. Just take a different route to work. Just say, I didn't notice that was going on. So change things up, right? Get in the zone. I'm out of time. But turn off your cell phone while you're doing something else. Right? Don't distract yourself with other things. Focus on what you're doing, and you typically are more happy when you do it. Live in the moment. Right? At work here, we believe in time off to contribute to the community. So when the morale starts going down, I start talking about, we need to do Angel Tree, or we need to do Relay for Life, or we need to do something like that. And employees get energized thinking about, oh, we can help some organization or something. Great. And that gets their morale right back up again. So devote themselves to other things, and you can have them work together, right? And encourage flow. Some businesses have email-free Fridays, for instance. Turn off your email and go and talk to the person, as opposed to email. Isn't that novel, right? So here it is. The bottom line is, happiness is, what is it? It's positive relationships with other people, right? Kindness, gratitude, and the capacity for love matter much more than the love of learning, curiosity, accomplishment, or success. So the truth of happiness is, where is it? It's other people. All right? Happiness is engagement with other people and trying to make the world a little better place. Those people are happier than the people who devote themselves to themselves. Make sense? That was, I'm sorry, I'm over my time.